In a small, quiet town, there was a rumor that everyone carried their own personal demon, invisible to others but very real to themselves. These demons fed on their darkest fears and whispered their deepest insecurities. The townspeople went about their daily lives, pretending nothing was wrong. But at night, when they were alone, the demons emerged. For some, it was the fear of failure, gnawing at their confidence. For others, it was guilt, regret, or jealousy, consuming them from the inside. No one could escape. The demons grew stronger with every lie told to hide them, and soon, they started to take physical form. One night, as the town fell silent, the demons became visible to everyone. Twisted, grotesque figures appeared beside each person, revealing the true nature of their inner torment. As panic spread, the people realized they had only one choice: confront their demon, or let it consume them entirely. But could they ever truly defeat something born from their own soul? The town was paralyzed with fear as they watched each other's demons take shape. Some were enormous, towering over their hosts, while others were small but vicious, gnawing at their victims' minds. There was no denying it now: these creatures were as real as the people themselves. Lena, a young woman who had always kept to herself, stood frozen as her demon materialized beside her. It was a shadowy, shifting mass with countless eyes, all watching her with unblinking, judgmental stares. Her demon thrived on her self-doubt, every eye a reflection of her own insecurities. Around her, chaos erupted. People screamed, trying to run from the monsters, but no one could escape. The demons followed them, inseparable, feeding on their fear. A man tried attacking his demon with a stick, but his weapon passed through it like mist, leaving him trembling in the street. Lena knew she couldn't run or fight it off. She had to face it. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her voice shaky. The demon didn't speak, but its eyes bore into her, showing flashes of every failure she had ever experienced, every moment she had doubted her worth. Tears filled her eyes, but she took a deep breath and stepped closer to the creature. "I'm not perfect, but I'm more than my fears," she said, her voice growing stronger. The demon hesitated, its form flickering for a moment. Other townspeople began to notice what she was doing. A young boy, whose demon was a towering, skeletal figure made of failure, heard Lena's words and turned to face his own. Slowly, he said, "You don't define me." One by one, people started to confront their demons, speaking the truths they had buried for so long. The air was filled with voices, shaky at first, but growing in confidence as the demons began to weaken. Lena's demon shrank, its many eyes closing until it was nothing more than a faint shadow at her feet. She exhaled, feeling lighter than she had in years. Around her, others were doing the same. The demons, now small and powerless, faded into the night. But Lena knew they were not gone. They would always be there, lurking in the corners of their minds, waiting for another chance to grow. The battle wasn't over, it would never be over. But now, they knew how to fight. And for the first time, the town felt a glimmer of hope. As the first light of dawn crept over the town, the streets were eerily quiet. The once chaotic scene had settled into a strange calm, as if the night's horrors had never happened. But the townspeople knew better. They carried the memory of their demons in their hearts, fragile but victorious for now. Lena walked through the town square, seeing the same exhausted relief mirrored in the faces of her neighbors. Many had survived the night, but others, those who hadn't faced their demons, remained haunted, their creatures clinging to them like shadows. Lena's heart ached for them, knowing how hard it was to find the strength to confront what lurked inside. That a few people huddled together, whispering about what might come next. Could the demons return? Would they grow stronger in the shadows? No one knew for certain, but a new kind of bond had formed among them, one of shared fear and survival. For the first time, they felt connected, knowing that everyone in the town had their own darkness to battle. As Lena reached the edge of the square, an old woman approached her. She was one of the elders, someone who had lived in the town for decades. Her eyes, sharp with wisdom, studied Lena for a moment. "You were one of the first," the woman said softly. You faced your demon before anyone else. Lena nodded, still feeling the weight of that moment. I had no choice to, and oh, you did, the elder replied, her voice firm but kind. And because you did, others found their courage too. Lena didn't know how to respond. The thought that she had helped others simply by confronting her own fears was humbling. She had always seen herself as weak, a constant victim of her own doubts. But maybe that had changed now. The demons aren't gone, the elder continued. They never really leave, but we can keep them at bay. You and others like you, those who showed courage, will need to help guide the rest. Not everyone will be as strong. Lena felt a chill run down her spine. She had never seen herself as a leader, but something deep inside her told her the elder was right. The town would need to come together to support each other if they had any hope of keeping the demons from returning. Before Lena could speak, a sharp scream pierced the morning air. Heads turned as a young man stumbled out of an alley, his face pale with terror. Behind him, his demon Lumita twisted, snake-like creature coiled tightly around his body, whispering venomous lies into his ear. He had ignored his demon during the night, hoping it would disappear on its own. Now it was back, more vicious than ever. The crowd froze in horror, but Lena didn't. Without thinking, she ran toward him, her heart pounding in her chest. "Face it," she yelled, grabbing the young man's arm. "You have to face it now." He looked at her with wide, desperate eyes. "I can't. It's too strong." "Yes, you can," she shouted, gripping his shoulders. "You're stronger than it. You have to believe that." The demon hissed, its coils tightening, but Lena refused to back down. She held onto the young man as if her life depended on it. "You're more than your fears," she whispered, the words she had spoken to her own demon echoing in her mind. Slowly, the young man's trembling stopped. His eyes, still filled with fear, flicked toward the demon. His voice shook as he whispered, "You don't control me." The demon recoiled, hissing violently before it began to shrink, unraveling from his body until it was nothing more than a thin wisp of smoke. Lena released him, breathing hard, and the crowd watched in stunned silence as the last traces of the demon disappeared. The elder stepped forward, her voice rising above the murmurs. "This is what we must do together. Help one another face the darkness. It is the only way." Lena looked around, seeing a new determination in the eyes of those gathered. They had fought through one night, but there would be more. The demons would return, waiting for moments of weakness. But now, the town had something they hadn't before: hope, and the knowledge that they didn't have to face their demons alone. And so, under the rising sun, the people of the town made a silent vow they would stand together, not just against their own demons, but against each other's as well. Because everyone had their own battles to fight, but no one had to fight them alone anymore.